The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our ServiceNow series, where we interview the best and brightest of the industry to share their story, advice, and views on the exciting world of ServiceNow and digital transformation.
Hello everybody, my name is Mark Kelly. I'm Chief Customer Officer and co-founder of Alldus, and you are listening to the Alldus podcast, a part of our ServiceNow series. I'm very, very happy to welcome Nima Keyhani. Nima is the Manager of Operations at Serity. Nima, thank you very much for your time today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Mark. Great to be here.
So people may not have heard of Serity. Before we find out a little bit more about the work that you're doing, tell us a little bit about you, your journey to now, and the world of ServiceNow.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think my journey started almost 10 years ago with ServiceNow. I was living back in the time in San Diego, California. And I started working for a startup company in California. Very nice, 20 people, 22 people. And we started developing an application. Back in the day, it was called GRC. And one day I came into the office and basically I was told that we got acquired by ServiceNow. I think in that time, it was the second or the third acquisition of ServiceNow. And basically through the acquisition, I came over into ServiceNow, worked there a couple of years in the services side, implementing ServiceNow globally, especially the nowadays called IRM application, and also build up the team for security operation, which came after actually GRC or IRM, how it's called today. And and then went back to ServiceNow Americas and basically was in the pre-sales side. And now a couple months ago, I had the pleasure to join Serity as the manager of operations, and great to be here.
Brilliant. Tell us a little bit about Serity and some of the work that you do to make customers' journey a success.
Absolutely. I mean, first, when I got approached by our CEO, Hamid Rizai, and he asked me if I want to join, I looked up. I knew Serity from before because I worked with them in several projects. Serity is one of the first security and risk partners in EMEA. And we're basically specialized primarily on those two domains, although we cover also other domains like ITOM and ITSM, but that's really where Serity is strong. And we really focus on domain expertise because if you look into the business of risk and security, you will see that it's very, very specific. Especially when it comes to risk people, talking to risk people, you need to have a specific domain expertise. You need to talk their language, their terminology, right? And when you talk to security people, it's also a different kind of people, right? You're talking to the CISOs and the SOCs, right? Of those big companies. You have to understand their use cases, and that's really where our focus is: to have domain expertise and couple it together with technical expertise of the solution.
Speaking that language, or speaking that love language, is so, so important because you need to be able to get across. You can walk their journey, you understand their pain points. And when it comes to security, nobody is immune. It is constantly, the threat is constantly evolving. We've seen the impact that some of these negative actors can play, and you need to just try to stay ahead of this. And it isn't a straightforward aspect to do. So, being niche is very, very important. And do you see the benefits of kind of security and risk and being able to kind of double down and focusing on this within ServiceNow?
Absolutely. I love that question because that is exactly what I think. I think security and risk, they're like the right and the left hand, and you need both, right? And it's a different view on the same thing. And as you said correctly, I mean, the security market is growing exponentially. Like if you look at the market right now, we're around about 160 billion US dollars in 2022. This will grow by 2028 almost a double. We will be around about 298 billion dollars. That's what they forecast. So imagine, like, in just 6 years we will double the market. And there is just not enough you know, people or experts out there in the market. So what you really need to do is automate and the automation of your processes in order to be less dependent on just security experts in the market, because there are no, you still need those security experts, but they have to really focus on the very, very special cases. But automation is key here. And as you know, ServiceNow is the automation platform. The workflow engine is great. So using that in order to really facilitate those processes that they need support on, that's our day-to-day job.
Yeah. There's something that gives you great pride knowing that the work that you're doing in the background can add so much value. And just because you have a specializing in this area, it means that you can start to look at the root causes or some of the challenges, because it's such a fast pace in terms of new innovations, good and bad, that you just need to actually just stay on this and actually really focus on how you can help customers on this journey and how you can actually leverage it with ServiceNow, because as you see, it's such an exciting journey in service there. Tell us a little bit about what it's like to work at Serity, because you seem to have a special culture there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for also mentioning that. And this was also one of the reasons why I really wanted to join Serity, because the culture of working. I mean, we are a boutique partner, if you want to say. Like, we're still small compared to the other big, consulting firms, but there is a lot of professionalism in there. Although we are very as a family working together and keeping up the good work that we're doing, helping each other. And that's really one of the main things that was important to me when I wanted to join Serity. And really, the core values that we have, if you check out our website and see like what we are really focusing on, at the same time as we are focused on the success of our customers, we really live empathy, right? I think, being a consultant, you can be great technically, but not having empathy for your coworkers, for your teammates, for your customer, you will have difficulties solving their problem. So I think really wanting to solve someone else's problem starts with empathy. And that's one of our core values. If you go and check out our website, you will see that is really one of the core values that we have. And we really live it.
Because sometimes you do a project or an implementation and you get all the boxes ticked and you feel like, okay, done. But you haven't won the hearts and minds of people. You don't know the journey that they're going on. Are they overawed? Change is difficult. And if you're not necessarily seeing it from their point of view, and this is why I think design thinking is so important, it's going to be very hard to get that everlasting consistency, buy-in. Yes, you can have spurts of motivation, but that motivation to continue, where people are inspired and keep coming up with different ideas and it's really working for them, sometimes you need to just take a step back and actually think, okay, are we actually solving the problem here?
Absolutely. And let me tell you one thing, Mark. I mean, I used to work in the pre-sales domain, and I would probably consider myself the worst salesperson ever. But what I can probably do the best is because I really lived empathy my whole life. And that's why one of the reasons why I joined Serity was because the whole team, the whole organization lives that value. If you have empathy, you start solutioning problems for your customers. And once you solution problems for them, it basically, you gain their trust. You don't need to sell them something. If you solution their problem, it sells for itself. And that can be for selling products or services. And at the same time, having a long-term relationship that is based on trust and empathy, again, that is really the key to our success as well.
What trends are you noticing in the market now with some of the customers that you're engaging with and some of the things that you're seeing in the world of security and service now?
I mean, really, when it comes to security and also risk, is really the need of more automation. As I said, the lack of experts, and I'm talking globally, right? There is not enough supply for the demand that we're facing. You see that every day in the news, right, Mark? There is a new attack, cyber threats here, ransomware there, and this is just from a security perspective, And how can we better automate those processes to make sure that our organizations that are now acting globally, and digitalization is also, it's a great asset, but it brings certain threats to the organization. So being prepared to secure your most valuable assets is the key. And also from a risk perspective, we see organizations going more towards digitalization, going away from, Word documents and Excel spreadsheets and emails here and there to really get an integrated solution. And ideally, what ServiceNow provides is having security, having risk, and having IT on one integrated platform. That is really the key to success for a lot of companies. And that's where their mindset is going. And that's why ServiceNow is so successful in this area.
Just making it easy for people, because Bill talks a lot about, why integrations aren't successful, how, 25 to 30% success rate is what's expected. So if you think about that, 70% of the work that you're going to do probably isn't going to make much of an impact. It's not going to add value in the areas that you have. And having that one integrated platform just makes it more efficient, and people's morale is improved as well, because people want to succeed when they go into work. They don't want to work on projects that aren't going to see the light of day, or you hear the moments at the water cooler, where people are going, "Oh, here we go again," and it stems and it grows, that kind of negative impact if the morale drops from projects that aren't going to plan. Nima, you guys are going into Latin America. It's an exciting kind of area. Offline, we were chatting about your amazing shirts that people may not see unless this is the video version, which got some hand-tailored toucans in it. Looks kind of like a Hawaiian shirt, but lovely green. Tell us about the exciting area that you're going into in Latin America and what's driving that. And you mentioned you were in Colombia before to myself off air. It's exciting times for you.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, as I said, we're still relatively a boutique partner, but we are thinking globally, because I think security and risk is acting globally, and we want to make sure that we don't set any boundaries to our service, and that's why we joined also and opened up another branch in Latin America. By the way, last week I was in Mexico at the ServiceNow office there, and also meeting with other customers in the region, because this is a growing market. It's crazy, Mark. I mean, if you look into that and looking about the market, the size of the market, and how much in the area of security and risk has been done in the past years, it's amazing. And that's why in ServiceNow specifically is in the region still like a smaller player for risk and security. And us being a partner working together with ServiceNow and helping the customers out in Latin America to automate their processes and to really benefit from one integrated platform. That's also one of our goals, especially for 2023, because the market is basically so big and there is not much going on right now for ServiceNow in that market.
Yeah, it's funny when you go to the market now, the world that we live in, location kind of doesn't really matter in so many different ways, because people have got similar problems, challenges. There's so much of a golden thread that brings us together, that we kind of, yes, we're gonna have different culture and values, but these things are all similar, and it's kind of a unifying way to go about things, which is really good. I'm wishing the very, very best of luck with that new branch and see how that goes. You've been listening to the Alldus podcast, part of our ServiceNow series, and today I've been chatting with Nima Keyhani. Nima is the manager of operations at Serity, and he's been telling us a little bit about Serity, the boutique agency, in terms of what they focus on, in terms of security, and some of the way that they're using ServiceNow and adding a lot of success for their customers. And we also talked a little bit about their ambitions in Latin America, and although they may not be the biggest of, they've got an action-packed journey ahead of them because of their niche area that they focus in. Nima, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.